13 and 14 of HTM 653. Our final 2 weeks together is single tear rolling down my eye. And it's very, very depressing.
Hi, everybody. We've had a really, really wonderful time.
So our focus is really trying to close out the course. And as you know, you're going to be responsible for a master's project. And so as part of that, the last 2 weeks of this course are designed to transition from leadership to leading change. And part of that is going to be this project that you have to do. So we'll spend a lot of time talking about that. But when you talk about leadership, we don't just act as leaders for no reason. We lead for a purpose. And so one of those purposes is to make positive change. And so we'll talk a little bit about that in our Camtasia presentation, but then it'll transfer into something more tangible.
So this is really the opportunity for you to apply the learning that you've had. What have you learned about your organization? What have you learned about the context? What have you learned about some of the relationships of the different elements that exist in the system? What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about the way that you are going to interact maybe with people? So the project that you're going to be working on in the 690 class is going to allow you to sort of take everything that you've learned in this class as well as draw from the other classes and actually sort of lead, at least for a 3-month project time period, an organizational change kind of an initiative.
So, and we call that a capstone. And what that means is that it should draw from everything that you learned, not only from this course and your other courses, but also from just your past experiences, and pull all of that together and try to apply it in a way that allows you to achieve the goals of whatever your particular project happens to be, which you end up choosing to do. But in that, essentially, for the remaining 2 weeks, we're going to ask you to sort of conceptualize and design what your project will be. And there's room to adjust it and manipulate it a little bit later, but because of the time frame, if you're really not solid by the end of this course about what you're going to do, it may really put you behind going into the next class. On the flip side, even though you may be tired and you're a little beat up and you're ready to get the holidays underway, the more time you spend in the design phase, the course that you take next is going to be a lot easier and it's going to flow a lot better, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So there's no reading this week, although the syllabus might be something to take a look at. That was emailed twice, actually.
I would spend some time and do that because it'll put you further ahead.
It'll give you an idea of what it is that you've sort of gotten yourself into in terms of the capstone. And as Mark mentioned, the time that you spend now really designing it is going to be helpful because we are intending that when the project class starts, you're really kind of hitting the ground running. So in terms of the assignment, it's actually a 2-week assignment.
Yep.
Why don't you talk about that?
So there's a Camtasia in there, so it'll give you just an overview of change and then also about the project. And so essentially what you're going to do is a project overview. And so there's a document that we'll ask you to complete.
There's a document?
There's a document in the assignments tab like it's always been. The only difference is we're going to do a stopping off point halfway. And so what we'll ask you to do is to rough out a draft. Halfway through the 2 weeks, we're going to ask you to post it in the discussion board. And you're actually going to work with 2 other students in a small group. It's all posted. And actually read the draft of the other 2 students and provide feedback. And that'll actually happen in the discussion environment. So basically it works that you go from Sunday, we're going to start the week a little bit earlier, but Sunday you'll have it posted. We'll ask you to look over the work and get it done by Tuesday, where you provided the feedback back to your students, and we'll do the same thing. So it will give you an advantage so that you can incorporate some of that into the final 4 or 5 days of the week before you have to turn it in.
So we're not asking you to work together on a group project. We just put you in groups so that after you post your draft, you have at least 2 students that'll give you feedback, and then you're giving feedback to 2 other students.
And it'll be really good to see other people's work, what they've done, how they've taken this whole process and put it together. But also, hopefully, what we're looking for is that maybe some of the things that you didn't think about, or that they have a take on it that's a little different, and they can open your eyes and say, wow, maybe that's something I really should either incorporate or change the way I plan to do it. But that might be really, really useful. So
you're headed toward being able to turn in your project overview, your final one, at the end of the 2 weeks, which is actually December 23rd. But 1 week in, we want you to post a draft and then do a quick feedback session for a couple of days just through the discussion board, and then actually be able to turn in your final.
So just keep in mind, as you're reading through everything, there's the assignment, halfway through there's the draft, and then the feedback component as well. Okay.
I think the reason that some of us, that we might be harping on it a bit, is that not everybody gave an update on their culture audit, which
Right.
was a 2-week assignment as
Right.
well. And so we just want to make sure that
Details.
just because we say 2 weeks doesn't mean there isn't something to happen in,
No.
in the midweek.
All right, guys. Have a great 2 weeks. We'll see you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right.